Hello and welcome to another update video on Bitcoin. I'm now here on the daily time frame, and it makes sense to start on the larger time frame and then take a look at the smaller time frames. The last few days the videos about the daily time frames were uploaded on X, so those of you who are following us there were very well informed about the next key levels. We've now reached the next key support level I mentioned, and honestly this box has been on the chart for several months now. It's between $96,306 and $83,180, this support zone. The 50% retracement level has now been reached, and a few interesting developments have now occurred. So over the last few days, we've obviously been watching this resistance area, which the price got rejected from. I can now actually remove it from the chart. We don't need it anymore. It is between $107,336 and $112,407. This was the resistance area we were watching for further downside to occur. So it needed to hold to keep the downside scenario likely. That was orange wave B or a yellow wave 4, which you can see on the smaller time frame. So the pressure remained down. There was no bottoming confirmation, and further downside honestly shouldn't surprise anybody, given that we have only seen a 3-wave move up from the November low, and the idea was this would be a B wave or a wave 4. So in both scenarios we were watching for lower prices, and without any 5-wave move up or break above resistance, further downside remained preferred. I also posted that yesterday or a few days ago on X, where I highlighted here again that the move up so far is clearly a 3-wave move in nature, which keeps the yellow scenario very likely, which was the scenario for another sell-off towards 96K. So that target has now been reached, so it shouldn't be too surprising. By the way, for those of you who want a summary of today's video, feel free to read through the What Matters Now text I posted on X like 17 minutes ago. So this really summarizes everything, and every word in this video here will be important, but still sometimes it can be helpful to have it all written down. So I post a link to our X channel in the comment section. Okay, now does it mean just because we've now reached a support we have hit a low? Not necessarily, as the smaller time frame will show to you. The overall pressure remains downward for now, but we're getting into a very interesting, let's say a very interesting phase, because the market is starting to get closer to the 30 level. I'm always happy when we get to the 30 level on the RSI. I know people often don't do that. They don't often get happy, but it's like the 30 level on the RSI is like Christmas. It's like or birthday together, right? It's when the RSI gets oversold on Bitcoin. It doesn't happen very often. It happens maybe once or twice a year. And when that happens, you can go check the chart. Usually like in 90% of cases, it kind of coincides with a larger bottoming formation. That doesn't mean that has to be the absolute low. Like what we see here is, it doesn't confirm a low yet, and we are not oversold yet. But honestly, this is always very interesting, especially when the closer we get, the more likely it is that a larger bottom forms. Don't get me wrong, it was possible already early in November to form a low, but obviously then we need to check structures, microstructures, and there was no long trade setup from an Elliott Wave point of view. But we're now getting into an area, I think, where it can, for me personally, where it's starting to get more interesting also to accumulate spot again, right? Slowly, no rush, slowly. And so that's why this is interesting, because that's just what the RSI on the daily does. It tells us an interesting, it gives us a heads up, yeah? Now, again, I would say only slow. I haven't done anything yet, but I would say only slowly, because, this is still a hot knife that's falling. A very hot knife, very sharp and hot knife. And nothing stopping the price from dipping a little lower to 90 or even 83K, yeah? 74K is obviously the April low. What else to mention? Well, we're currently holding a higher low on the RSI, okay, compared to the February low, which is okay, yeah. what would be, in my opinion, quite bullish as well is if we even form a lower low on the RSI, but a higher low on the price chart. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Because that would mean very oversold conditions, but price still in a higher low structure. Now, what concerns some people is that we've now broken below the 55-week EMA. Really, the price found support there several times in the cycle. Now we've broken. What's going on? Well, look, we've now closed, I think, the daily candle below 100K and below the 55-week EMA. I think the daily candle isn't even closed below the 55-week EMA. No, not yet. No, that the daily candle isn't closed below the 55-week EMA, but it's also not the major problem. I mean, I've said it before, yes, we've lost this level now, but it's not a decisive break. I said before, at least a weekly close before I will really treat it as a warning that something, a much more significant, let's say, bear market or so might have started. But as I always said, it's just a warning. It's not even, from an Elliott Wave point of view, as I said before, if you watch the videos, we can even find support at 83K and there's still a bullish scenario, yeah? That doesn't mean that I'm short-term bullish. No, we've been short-term bearish for quite some time now because all the bounces have been three-wave movements, right? Especially also here seen this week and last week. Like, all of this was just three waves. And so we had 5 waves down everywhere. I mean, that's, of course, I'm still watching for bullish reversals, but we would need evidence for them. Now, here on the smaller time frame, you can also see that the price got rejected in our micro resistance area. So again, it shouldn't be any surprise that we go lower because the wave count to the downside wasn't really full yet. And I posted in my last member update yesterday that this bounce could easily just be an internal wave 4 bounce. It has ended up as an internal wave 4 bounce, and we could now grind a little lower here. And in terms of microstructures to the downside, the micro pattern here seems to be filled in nicely. Yellow count is basically full, maybe one more low. We're now in a micro target area for that yellow count, which is which could complete an A wave or a wave 2, all right? So this is in this region, a larger wave 2 can complete or an A wave. Ideally, not much more than one more low, so maybe around 95.2 to 93.7K. I cannot confirm any upside reversal until we break back above $100,500. That's the Friday high. Well, today's high. It's Friday already, crazy, right? That would be today's high, overnight high. And if we go much lower, then it'll likely be the orange count, but I'll make sure that, we'll adjust it accordingly. Then we are likely going to aim for 91,300 to 90,500 next, yeah. For now, that means over the coming sessions, I'm going to monitor this area very, very closely and the overnight high for an indication we might have put a low in place. That's the update on Bitcoin. That should tell you all the parameters for the coming sessions. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. As I said, feel free to follow us on X as well for additional updates. Sometimes here you get updated even sooner. So yeah, check it out. Thanks so much. I'll leave a link in the comment section. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for watching the videos on this YouTube channel. If you've been thinking about joining MCO as a member, now might be a great time. You can use the link in the video description and apply the discount code right below it. You will get 50% off your first month of our Gold membership, and you can explore everything we offer. It's the easiest way to test the membership, see if it's a good fit for you, and get a feel for the community, join the conversation, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in our member area.